The film comes at a time when all these topics are swirling controversies right around us. And I've been drawn somewhat reluctantly, but now pretty willingly into this attack on Israel and the Jews from the right, something that I didn't really see coming, and certainly not to the magnitude that it is. So as a result, I find myself going up against people that I have been pretty close to, having spoken at some of the Candace Blexit events of years ago. Last year, I toured Australia with Tucker Carlson. We spoke together in about 8 cities. So it is with some trepidation that I take these guys on, and yet I feel that their effects are so destructive politically, to the country, also to the MAGA movement, and also in a way to Christianity. They are advancing outlandish theories and trying to gain respectability that are outside the bounds of Christianity for 2,000 years.
No, I agree entirely. And I think you ask yourself, I think often when it comes to these people, is it worth engaging? Do you just ignore them? You can't ignore the likes of Tucker Carlson. He's too big. He's too powerful. His voice resonates. It has an impact, and it is essentially changing hearts and minds for the worse. You've challenged him to a debate. Why will he not accept that? Why is he afraid to back up what he believes or seems to believe is the truth with argument, fact?
I think it's because deep down he knows that he's somewhat of a shallow and superficial person. I mean, he's got a kind of smug smartness, and he also has a very clever sort of technique. So let's excavate this technique for a little bit. What Tucker will do is he has a strong opinion on a topic, but he frames the opinion as a kind of, oh shucks, leading question. The question itself has an answer that is obviously embedded in it, but Tucker doesn't reveal the answer. He then has a source. And the source is usually some rather suspect character, some shady academic, some, nun with a mustache. And he floats the question, and then the source regurgitates the obvious answer that's implicit in the question, but Tucker treats it like a thunderbolt, like an epiphany,
Whoa.
like a revelation.
Whoa.
Or he goes, that's really interesting. And then he'll say something like, well, there were people at the time who raised this kind of an issue. And he's talking about, like, should we have allied with Hitler in World War II? Now, there are no people at the time of any repute who had that view. Now, after the war, and I know that, people like Patton said, all right, we've crushed the Nazis. Maybe we should go on to Moscow. Our troops are already here in Europe. But that is a whole different thing than suggesting that we should initially have allied with Hitler against Stalin. So this is an effort to inject, I think, a lot of stupidity and poison into the debate. And I noticed that the social media influencers, a lot of them were sort of a little afraid of Tucker. He has a huge following. He's going to ridicule me. I'm going to be written out of the MAGA movement. And so I thought, look, this is there's so much nonsense going on out here. We don't have people like William F. Buckley and Irving Kristol and Ronald Reagan to sort of tell these people politely that they don't really belong on the right. And so I've got to do my part to at least oppose them publicly.
Absolutely.